Hey, and welcome back to 1000 Details. So today we're going to talk about a topic that comes from my Discord. So one of the users, which is a very good producer from the US, called 1010, he's 1010 Saturn. He had a question and a doubt about I'm working my tracks mainly with samples, and I feel that I don't have the crunch, and I feel a void in the mid-lows. So I thought, well, after a little bit of discussion in the Discord channel, I said, well, why not do a video and explain my process that might help things gel better and help other people who are trying to do stuff. And for this, I'm gonna use my trusty Digitakt II, to explain a little bit my process. And I'm gonna go with as like 5 tips, 5 ideas that might help you find that crunch and get an overall more balance with proper low end, good mid-low, mids and highs that sound proper, not harsh, not too low. So let's go and dive into this. So the first thing is try to pitch correctly your elements and play with the notes. And what do I mean with this? You're using samples, right? You don't have much wiggle room to synthesize or create new stuff, which honestly I prefer. But the thing is, you still have the pitch control on your samples. And since the topic was more about the low end, mid lows, and that, well, let's call it base of the sound, we're gonna start by this. So I'm gonna add up here, I'm gonna keep the same kick, but I'm gonna change samples compared to the intro track, and let's see what we can do here. So the first thing, and focusing on mid-low, okay? Here I got my kick. I was running here one-shot bass line. So basically, let's do something similar and then mute this, and let's go pick a new bass one-shot. Something that you hear and you like, okay, this one is a good one. Okay, so it sounds like this, and I immediately know this is too high on my pitch, right? This might be super basic stuff for many of you, but I think it's always nice to remember. And what I'm gonna do with this one-shot bass line, I'm gonna make it more like a sub, right? More like a sub, maybe a little less decay, okay? We're gonna touch that point, but for now I'm gonna leave the decay as it is. And we got this, and another cool thing that you can do is add another extra bass line, but more groovy. So I'm gonna go to my track number 10, where I have something here, and I had something here, which is a loop, okay? And what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna reset this back to 0, and I'll explain you something that you laugh about when you hear it. So what I do before putting my loops inside the Digitakt, I pitch them 12 semitones up and then bring them down here, and then I get an extra grit and crunch from those loops, right? This is an old technique. I talked about this in other videos, but I like to do this because it gets me that extra grit. So this sounds that could fit, so let's go with this. And again, I'm gonna leave my envelopes for the VCA as they are for now, and I'm gonna tune this. Not bad. So what I'm feeling here, let me see my filter. Okay, there's something going on here, maybe. Okay, I'm gonna go down a little bit more on the loop, a little bit lower pitch on the sub thing. Okay, here it is, volumes. And now my kick, gonna down pitch it a little bit as well. So what I can do to make this fit a little bit better is I come here and I have some notes, right? And what I can do, I can change my notes of this bass line. So maybe I can pitch up, I'm gonna pitch up these notes so that I have more content going more into the mid side of the frequencies than on the low side of the frequencies, right? And I'm gonna increase the velocity here in these ones. Okay, here we go. There we go. Okay, so for now I'm happy with this. This is the basic of things. And now to make sure that we get something that is working together, I always say that to have a track that works or bangs is it's the symbiosis between the kick, the bass, and the synth. So what I'm going to try to do here is I'm going to put up a synth line from a one shot, and I'm going to try to have some information of that synth line coming a little bit more towards the mid lows, just to join up a little bit better the things. So let me go here. Okay, whatever. Something just to exemplify. Good. And see, I just picked up the octaves here, and now I can even play with the tune here a little bit. So down pitching it, I'm gonna get more information over here. And now with my filter, I'm gonna do a cutoff here. I normally don't do cutoffs, but since here I don't have a low shelf. See, and there's this toon toon of the note that I want to keep, because what it's doing, it's basically working with the bass line, the kick, and now the synth. So this will be the basic thing, is pitch your elements and see where you put the notes so that they can work together. Now, the second tip will be control your envelopes, the timing of your sounds. This is actually quite important because I always draw this idea of basically, let's say that you have a population of 100 people and they all live in a village. And for them to have a happy life, you want them to all get along together. And you want that each of the families have their own space and they coexist and they live well together with their other neighbors. So we have an harmonious place to live and everybody is happy. So I always say this because I believe this. It's the same for the track. You want your elements, each one of them, to live happily in its place, but at the same time he has to coexist and live happily with his neighbors along the track. So the track will be the village, the sounds will be the population, and the house, well, the space they occupy in the frequency range, right? So this is more or less the thing. And to do this, you have, well, we start with the first one, which is let's pitch them up and down and see where we put the notes so that in a way they have their own space, right? So we found them a space for them. And now controlling the envelope for each sound will allow me to see how much size they need to occupy, or are they occupying space that they shouldn't be occupying. So for example, going back again to the houses, village population, if I have a family of 5, so a big family, and it's occupying a lot of space, or they need a lot of space, and I have a family of 2 that is occupying more space than they need, I might trim up a little bit the family of 2 so that I have more space, so that everyone is having the okay space for it to sound properly, right? So there's a few things here that we can do, and I'm gonna play this again, okay? And the first thing here is I'm gonna put my synth note shorter to start with, okay? and I want a later attack so that it doesn't strike immediately. Why this? So that I give room to my kick, for the transient of the kick to be able to sound and pierce through the mix, right? But this sounds quite short, and I don't like this. So I'm gonna give it just a little bit of decay, and then, sorry, of hold, and then with the decay, I control the notes. And here, the same stuff, exactly the same stuff. So I'm gonna give a little bit of attack here, okay? Just to, again, let the kick pierce. And if you wanna do this by values, you can. I just do it by ear. I have around like let's say 7, 8 on the attack here, and this one it's around 7, 6, yeah. So just do it by ear and see where things start to, okay, this is not starting at the same time. You see that they can have the same step, but one will start a little bit later and the one before. Okay, so this is more or less what I want to go. And in our loop, I just decrease the decay. And I want more around this area. No, I could do this. See, it occupies way more space, right? You hear it much more on the mix. But around here, it's just enough to be there, to do its function and work. And now let's go back to our one-shot bass line and see how things work here. Just a tiny bit of attack, and perhaps what I'm gonna do is make this one shorter and this one longer. And now we go back to our kick and see something that is really important, which is the amount of decay of the kick. Because if you have too much decay, you might be entering inside the bass lines and you get a mushy thing inside there, and you lose that mid-low that really gives the track some edge, some pump. And in my case, this doesn't sound very good, right? It lacks something acceptable. And here I kind of link them, like they just entered like the same space. And at the same time, this is not the best synth line ever, but it serves a purpose. And I think we can go even a little bit lower on the pitch. Less. Like this. And now what I hear for me, it's like things have their own space and they are fitting there. And you're starting to create something that is quite pleasant, in my opinion. Okay, now on to the next tip. What will be the third tip is work towards making all the elements, so all the rest of the elements, percussions and whatever you have, to work along the rest. Because what you want is that your mix is well balanced in terms that the highs don't overpower the low end. You don't want the low end to kill everything in the mids and then get a typical mushy mix down, something really unpleasant. But at the same time, you have always to remember something, which is the higher frequencies, when they are lower in volume, they have the perception of sounding way higher than the low end, and this is normal. This is the way we hear, and you have to play with those things. So Sometimes make sure that you are not increasing too much the highs to compensate something that you're lacking on the low end, and vice versa. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add up my percussion elements here. And for this, I'm going to use the same ones that I had before here. But now I'm pretty much sure we'll have to pitch them again. So I had here this thing, which sounds good actually, the way it is. Why? Because if you listen, this percussion sound over here, right? This kind of, I don't know, darbuka thing, some percussion sound. It is mid frequency, right? But still it has some mid-low stuff going on there. So we added an extra layer to that area, plus a little bit of higher frequency, which gives air to the track. So it gives your track a perception, an idea of space. Okay, so this is happening in a space of, or like a big space, a small space, that all plays along, right? So now let's go up to another percussion loop that I had here. And this one, I want it to be more on the mids, a little bit to the highs, okay? Not yet on the high frequencies, just something there to create a bed for the rest. So this will oblige me not to open much more of the filter. I don't want this. I just want something where this is the maximum this loop will go in terms of frequencies, right? And it's filling in mainly my mids and a little bit of the high mids. And now and this one, yeah, this one has some percussion, some bongo-like stuff, and it was super, well, it was down pitched, but I want to increase it. So again, I'm already feeling, and this is really feeling, that there's another element that goes in between the kick, the bass, the lower end of the synth, these bongos here that might be around, I don't know, 500 to 900 hertz, I guess. And then you have the loop on 5, which is filling in the mids to the high mids, so I will say more or less around 1.2 to around 2.3, but very faintly around 2.3, because or else it will pierce. And I have this thing here, which is more on the mid-lows, and everything is working together, right? So you can feel this. And again, work with your envelopes so that you can leave your elements room to breathe and to sound in their own space. This is a really important one. And let's just add up the hi-hats and see how things go. Well, the claps always pretty much sound properly. Volume-wise, just a tiny bit of the claps, I don't want them much. Good. And now final taste. Ooh. Hey. The ride. And the ride is the same as the claps in a way. It's up to your taste. Yeah. This will be it. Okay, a little bit of attack. Extra decay. Well, not much extra decay. Actually, less decay. So that my other elements can sound. And there we go. So we found ways with just the pitch and with the envelopes to make things sound proper and fit together. Now, this tip is one of my favorites, and I use it in everything, which is adding color. What does mean adding color? So adding color to me means giving it distortion, overdrive, anything that brings new harmonics from these sounds, okay? Brings them up and creates new, I'm not gonna say new sounds, but it gives an extra crunch, an extra vibe to all the stuff. Plus, it normally brings also some beef up to the sound. And for now, you've been hearing this all along with overdrive in almost every element, plus the overdrive on the master of Digitakt II. So as an exercise, before we go with this, I'm gonna decrease the overdrive in all my elements here, so that, and including this one, and let's see how this sounds, and then let's add up stuff so that we bring in that grittiness that I know that brings in that crunch, that beef up to the techno sound, right? So let's go. Where did the sound go, right? So I'm gonna start add up overdrive, a little bit in the kick, overdrive to my bass loop, overdrive to my one-shot bass. I'll go immediately to the synth, bring in this grid. Okay, now my percussions, well, this one still had a little bit. So now we have something here more pleasant, in my opinion. See, the overdrive brings this extra crunch to the snare, for example. And now let's go back to, let's go back to our master overdrive. Yes, it sounds louder. But at the same time, you're bringing new harmonics from all these sounds. Okay? Too much. Around here. And you just brought like a new dimension to this sound. It's like they all popped out of where they were, and now it sounds bigger and sounds, in my opinion, much more interesting as well. And the last step that I use here in the Digitakt, it is the compressor. So this is the dry sound, okay, completely dry. You can hear some of the reverb and all of this. So my last step before recording this, I always have it on because it pretty much fits all my productions in a way. So it is having a compressor that is not killing my transients, that is fast enough so that it leaves my track to live, and at the same time I don't want to squash the dynamics. No, I want to still have my dynamics going on, but glue them. Okay, this is the thing that I'm searching for, is glue. So I'm going to increase this, and I use more or less more of a parallel compression here. So I don't go fully wet. I go around 70 here, 60 to 70, and you'll hear the difference. So this is 0. It's like one was here, one was there, and now they all mixed. So let's go again. One here, one there, one super low, one we don't know where he is. Tons of reverb that is going way beyond what it should go. And now they're all together. And now they're all glued. You feel that still they have their own layers, they have their own dimensions, but they are working better together. And one thing, just one thing. I don't overuse compression, nor I use compression a lot. I mainly use compression on a 2-bus, meaning that I will use here, because this is like the final step of the output of the Digitakt II. And after I record this track into my computer, on my outboard chain, and I did a video about this, I have a compressor, which is the Elisa Expressor. And again, what I aim to do there is exactly the same. It's okay, I added extra distortion, I EQ'd this a little bit here and there to give it an extra push, so since I cannot do it here. And with the compressor, I want to re-glue things again and make sure that my levels are fitting. Final tip, and I suspect you've been watching me doing this, and it's a 2-in-1. Volumes, okay? Play with your volumes. Your volumes are key. I cannot get enough to say this and explain this. Let me put this to play. Volumes is what define the exact place of your element. Then yes, then you can, I will say, tweak a little bit, but the volume is like, okay, this is here. And again, as I always say, for me, the pillar of my sound, it's the kick. So set the kick volume first, and then as soon as you're adding up sounds, it will become much easier. For example, I do believe that this sounded pretty much okay. Let me pull again everything. Okay, it sounds nice. For me, it sounds balanced. But one thing that you can do if you're having issues is bring your element that you're gonna put in back to 0, and you start to increase it. And as soon as you feel comfortable, it's like, oh, this sounds good here, okay? Sounds good here. Let's see if we end up with some different mix or other thing. I always do this quite a few times when I'm in doubt. Now let's bring the one-shot bass line. More than enough. Don't worry, because as you're adding, you're going to come back and adjust a few others. So let's bring the first percussion here, the percussion loop. Okay, clear your ears a little bit. For now, it sounds okay. Let's bring the second ones. Of course, this is also a matter of taste. It's like, oh, I like more this sound. I want it to be more upwards on my layers than the other one. That's also a matter of choice as well. Now this one. And I think now that I want this one louder, so that it plays better with this. Like, so there's this hit, this I don't know what this is actually as instrument. We have this darbuka thing here going, and they kind of play together like the answer question answer response type. My hats. It's pretty much working. And now let's bring in the synth. This synth is awful, but I'll be around here. And now that I'm listening to this, I'm gonna fine tune again. And I'm going to even. And now I can start to have fun. And that's the second part of this last tip. Have fun. Think less, hear more, have more fun, play more. Don't think too much. I have to change this very fast because it's annoying me as hell. And I might not find anything, but this way I'll make sure that whatever I had before is better than the new one. Nothing interesting here. Or maybe what I'm gonna do here is clear this, change this to a stretch one, and I'm gonna bring one of my loops. I have here some loops that I made myself. Yeah, why not this one? And perhaps, whoa, we have a vocal there. And now what I can do perhaps is this is a loop, but I'm gonna play it as reverb. And I'm just and like this, I have something that pleases me. See, I got lost myself there. Sorry for that. But that's the part of having fun. It's let it go. Just embrace it, and don't think too much. I hope you enjoyed this very basic ideas that sometimes you forget, and also some extra stuff that help bring in more into our sounds. And I think that's something that I always appreciate, which is sometimes go back to the roots and, oh, then it was this way that things were made, and I did things this way. This helps a lot sometimes to bring in new ideas. So if you like my content, if you dig what I'm doing here, please like and subscribe. It really immensely helps the channel and my stuff going on. And visit my Patreon. There's a little bit more content there, exclusive to patrons, and a few sample packs and loops and stuff that you might enjoy. So yeah, check it out if you are into that kind of stuff. And to finish this off, let's jam this away and see you next time, I guess, right? Bye. And starts now.